Welcome, Cornerstone families. We are so pumped to have you joining us online again today.
If you haven't already, make sure you download the Family Ministry app. You can find the link to this in the info section on our Cornerstone Kids Facebook page. There are a lot of awesome resources there for parents and fun stuff for kids too.
Yeah, and without further ado, let's hop into worship.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Genesis, chapters 1 and 2.
In the beginning. The very beginning. Before the first breath. Before the first flash of color. Before the first moment in time. There was nothing. Nothing. Nothing except God. But when God saw nothing, he saw a blank canvas. He saw the perfect backdrop for a work of art beyond imagination. So, God created. From absolutely nothing, he brought forth the heavens and the earth. But there was no shape or form. God's Spirit hovered over the dark emptiness. Then, God called out,
"Let there be light."
Brilliant light shattered the darkness like golden trumpets on a still morning. Bright rays shimmered and danced in all the hues of the rainbow. God saw the light was good. He divided the light from the dark, calling the light day and the darkness night. Evening and morning together shaped the very first day of all time. Then God said,
"Let there be a huge space between the waters. Let it separate water from water."
By his words alone, God shifted the waters, leaving a vast arching space above, the sky. Evening and morning rolled past, the second day. God lifted his voice again.
"Let the water under the sky be gathered into one place. Let ground appear."
Dry land shrugged its way out of the water. Islands and vast continents and gritty deserts and towering mountains. God called the dry ground land, and he called all the gathered waters seas. But God had even bigger plans for this day.
"Let the land produce plants, and let there be trees on the land."
In moments, tall grasses unfurled across the plains, and giant redwoods shot up from the dirt. Flowers and grapevines and carrots and corn sprouted and flourished. God saw that all of it was good. That evening and morning closed out the third day.
"Let there be lights in the huge space of the sky. Let them separate the day from the night."
At the sound of God's voice, the blazing sun exploded into being. The silvery moon spun out. Stars and galaxies flooded into space, filling the universe. Pew, pew, pew. God set the sun to rule the day, and the moon to rule the night. And God saw it was good. That evening and morning made up the fourth day. But God wasn't done painting his masterpiece just yet.
"Let the seas be filled with living things. Let birds fly above the earth and across the huge space of the sky."
Instantly, the seas and rivers and ponds writhed with dolphins and octopi, salmon and minnows. Eagles soared and bluebirds nested, while ostriches stretched their long necks. God saw they were good. That evening and morning formed the fifth day. But God kept working on his creation.
"Let there be livestock and creatures that move along the ground and wild animals."
At once, animals of every kind appeared. Elephants thundered through the forests, and squirrels darted up tree trunks. Monkeys chattered, and pigs rolled happily in the mud. God saw it was all good. But he had one more creation in mind.
"Let us make human beings so that they are like us. Let them rule over the fish and the birds. Let them rule over all the animals."
Then, with his own hands, God formed the very first man and the very first woman, Adam and Eve.
I'm me. And you are you.
And this place? It's beyond words.
Unlike the animals, God made people in his image to reflect him.
"Have children and fill the earth. Rule over the fish and the birds and every living creature. I am giving you every plant on the earth for food."
God looked over everything he had created and saw that it was very good. That evening and morning were the 6th day. And on the 7th day, God rested. I mean, his work was finished. His glorious creation was complete. But because God had formed people in his image, they too could reflect his imagination and creativity. The possibilities ahead of them were endless.
Hey guys, in the video we just watched, we just learned about how God is indescribable and that God created everything. And so this month we're going to be talking about how God is indescribable. And so we just looked at how God created the whole world. So when God saw the beginning of time, the world was formless and dark and empty. So what God did, he decided, I'm going to create a plan and I'm going to create everything in the world. And so God created the light, he created the night, he created the sun, he created the oceans, he created the mountains, everything we can see, everything that we have today, God created. And God not only created everything in the world, but he created us, humans as well, in his own image, even more importantly. And so remember that you are created in God's image, and God had a purpose for creating you. And then our memory verse for this month that we're going to be really studying with, and that I want you guys to focus on this week with your family is, Lord, you are great. You are really worthy of praise. No one can completely understand how great you are. Psalm 145:3. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to continue discussing these creation things with your family this week. And so have a great week.